I've been a serial entrepreneur, started my first business at 15.
So we're working with a specific client who came to mind, and she started out her holiday lighting company out of the trunk of her car as a single mom 20 years ago. And what's so fantastic about it, it's almost a $3 million company.
MIT came out with their study saying that like 95% of AI implementations fail. But what they don't understand is that's a normal number.
Before we hit the record button, I'm like, Kofi, have you heard of this granola? And he's like, what is that? So it's this really cool tool that I now use.
Went from our 35 to now we have close to a 78% new patient close ratio. So that's a huge impact on the business.
Jumping right in, I gotta ask, Patty, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? Well, first and foremost, Kofi, thank you so much for having me on your pod. I'm very excited. It's going to be a good time. I'm Patty Dominguez, founder of More Leverage Solutions, and I am based out just outside of Chicago, have been in business since 2013. And now what we do is we help small businesses use AI to grow their credibility, their visibility, especially in the trust economy. That's super important. So it's a good time to be in the AI space.
I love that. Brett, how about you? Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Kofi. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Basically, my name is Brett Bennett. I've been a serial entrepreneur, started my first business at 15, got into direct response marketing, been doing it for the last 25 years now, I guess.
Wow.
That ages me, but I love businesses. I love doing that. Currently, what I do is I help dental practices. We're doing roll up for dental practices. And for those of you who don't know what a roll up is basically we're buying a bunch of dental practices and building a business that private equity or another large party would buy from us. So that's kind of the plan. We own 21 dental practices currently. Plus, we own an AI agency, and we're using AI to streamline the process, not only in acquiring businesses, but also in making our practices more profitable.
Thank you guys for for introducing yourself and telling everybody what you do. It's quite interesting, and I wanted both of you here because both of you are some of the most successful people I know, especially in the space of AI. Now, with a lot of people listening in the professional service space, AI has almost become sort of like a buzzword. AI this, AI that, to the point where it's almost shunned away for some or for many, but welcomed by some. What would you say, based off of your experience, that is the single most shocking AI use case you've seen inside a professional service?
So I'll let you go, Brett, because I have a perspective, but I don't have like a case at the top of mind.
Yeah, and this, especially since MIT came out with their study saying that like 95% of AI implementations fail or something like that. This has become more of a top of mind. But what they don't understand is that's a normal number. Pharmaceutical companies, 97% of drugs that they try to bring to market fail. Does that make sense? And every industry has a 90% or close to a 90% fail rate when they're doing that. So it's not a new thing just with AI. It's just that the strategies that people are trying to implement aren't the correct strategies. So that's part of what you have to look into. So in our dental practices, the thing that's made the most difference is we were when we acquired dental practices, to give you a little background quickly, is we buy them around the $500,000 in annual collections, and we grow them between $1.5 million and $2 million in annual collections over an 18-month period. What AI is allowing us to do is to shorten that time frame from of 18 months to closer to a year. So that makes it better because of what we're able to implement. But it's also plugging gaps that we didn't know we had in there. And so one of the gaps that we found that we were able to close with AI is when we'd get new patients in, and every time we get a new patient in, it's usually $1,000 in collections for that year in new collections. But we only had like I think it was a 36% ratio of new patients sticking to get that percent. And where the drop off was when, because we had to prior authorize their insurance, and between getting the prior authorization and then getting them, we got busy at the offices and we wouldn't necessarily make the call back. The people got busy in their lives. They wouldn't care about their dental appointments anymore or the work that they've done because they're not in pain. Unless they're in pain, they're going to call us. If they're not in pain, they don't call us, and keep that scheduled. What we're able to implement using AI is now we're able to scrape the database whenever those authorizations came in, prior auths came in. Now we're able to automatically send out a text message, hey, your prior auth came in, click here to schedule via our website, or if you have questions about it, call. And they were just able to, straight to their cell phones. And that went from our 35 to now we have close to a 78% new patient close ratio. So that's a huge impact on the business, because that's, if we're bringing 100 new patients a month, that's $78,000 a year in new collections per practice a month that we're bringing in. So, so that's huge. I mean, that's over double what we were able to do, and that's using AI to be able to do that, and automations.
Exactly. So the example I could think of that comes to mind is for whatever reason, probably because I'm a woman, but I tend to attract females that have a small business, et cetera. And so we're working with a specific client who came to mind, and she started out her holiday lighting company out of the trunk of her car as a single mom 20 years ago here in the Chicago area. And what's so fantastic about it, it's almost a $3 million company. Now, the competition is extremely fierce, right? So there's a lot of these people that are popping up that maybe perhaps like a landscaper or roofers who are just adding it on, right? So she's like, okay, competition's fierce. I have to get really serious about how I'm marketing, the type of marketing that I'm doing, and just taking a look at the inside of the business is really recognizing you can sell to the people that you've sold to already. And she's like, I know, but we have thousands of people in the database, and how do we have that conversation? So it's reaching out to nurture, to whether it's bring back those customers that you've sold to again, or cross-selling or upselling, and all these concepts that we know as marketers that we should be doing. But the small business owner isn't thinking of doing it because they're just putting out fires and spinning a lot of plates. So the cool thing about that is whether you're implementing conversational AI with that, or even just a texting campaign or what have you, we're able to mobilize these different types of approaches with AI that is getting her to a space of found money. So what I really love about that is not only the impact for her, her P&L, the bottom line and what have you, but it also helps to gain the trust that AI can help. And so her excitement around it is like, well, what else can it do? You know what I mean? And it's, it almost becomes addicting. But I think first and foremost is, you had initially, Kofi, said it's a buzzword. It's people who are just, I feel like everyone in the world is saying they're an AI expert. And the one thing that you'll hear is that in Brett's case, he's been in the game for 25 years. I've been a marketer prior to 2013 in Fortune 50. There is strategy mindedness that we all, you too, Kofi, we bring to the table, that regardless of the era of AI, you have to have the foundational principles that you know and could put into practice. And I think that's the difference that is so necessary. And the difference between people who are just playing at the AI game and people who have a deep rooted understanding of how to apply it, so that the business owner is taking care of the customer, but also a problem that they're having. So I think that is where the big opportunity is for us to stay in that long game. Because that's, I always say, I'm like, that, they could be doing all that. We're not in the same ballpark, right? So I think that's important.
No, and I 100% agree with what you're saying, Patty, because it's the LLMs are great, but they give you average answers. It takes you have to know how to iterate it and guide the AI to get the high level answers and the automations that you're trying to get out of there. And so you have to know the frameworks and the backgrounds behind it to be able to train the AI to be useful for you. And that's where most people fall down, is they don't know how to train that AI and how to do that.
Oh, I want to piggyback off that real quick. I was just at a conference. It was a small business conference, and there was a copywriter on stage, and she was talking about how copywriting and really understanding the copywriting frameworks and models, and then she compared and said, you cannot do that with AI. And she's like, and that's where crappy copy comes out of. And I'm sitting here shaking my head like, oh my gosh, you're totally wrong. I couldn't disagree with you more. Right. And it's because it depends, like, it's garbage in, garbage out. And if people understood the premise of it, and it's like, well, I think here's where it's going, in my opinion, is the thought leadership, the thoughtful strategic mind bringing the correct kind of prompting. It's because I mean, I've been studying copywriting for like 9 years. So there's things that I organically am looking for that I'm sure for you guys being in the marketing space as well. So it's so nuanced in that way. It's like I don't have to necessarily do my all my copywriting, but it could 80/20 get me there. But I also know specific frameworks and models and good practices that unless I'm feeding the AI, it's not going to know what is
Mm,
good.
Right. And then the other mistake that most people make is they try to get it to do all of it at once instead of breaking it down into bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
Right. It's good, but you have to break it down into those little individual specifics. So, you can't go say, okay, write me a landing page. you know you can't do that, right? There's so many components that go into a landing page. And so I guess the way to explain that is that you got concepts and you got
mm,
components, and the components are the individual things, the headline, the call to action, the question and answers. Those things are all components of your marketing campaigns
mm,
that AI is great at helping you each create with each individual component. But the concepts that you have to train the AI on, that's like your big idea, your unique mechanism, your unique selling position. What's your hook? What's your things like that? Those things that are the concepts that you have to train the AI on in the frameworks on the back end to make your. And then I'm talking about creating your own agents or custom GPTs to
mm.
make it to be able to come up with those usable parts.
I love this so much. It's very interesting when both of you were speaking. Um, it's one thing that I really came across, and I'm wondering what you guys' take is on it as well too. One thing I realized at first, I thought when AI came out and anybody was on it, I was like, oh my gosh. For example, with copywriting, for example, it's like, oh my gosh, now nobody needs to hire another copywriter. You can just like write copy on your own and make sure you get some good conversions, make sure you have people move the way you want to move. But then I quickly came to realize that AI can quickly help the people that are just basic or not experts be even more basic, and help the experts even become more experts in what they're doing. And I'm wondering what you guys' take is on that specifically.
So in terms of not understanding the depths of where AI can go, is that what you mean, Kofi? Or what do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
So yes, exactly. So in the sense, for example, I realized that at first when I just tried to write a copy on, for example, for a landing page per se,
Yeah.
when I was writing that copy and I was just going with just the basic stuff, hey, write me a copy on, let's say, this dental clinic with this offer of $100 or whatever. It
Yeah.
writes that copy. I'm like, okay, cool, this is great. But then I realized there was a much different take on it when I
Hmm.
put the copy in terms of I don't want anything on the reason level or the surface level. Write me a copy based off of impact, based off of these three frameworks that I'm using to go in this way, that way. And that's when I actually really saw the proper impact of AI and how it could go even further. So I'm
Right.
wondering if you guys have experienced something in that sense as well too. Like what do you do
Yeah.
as well to make sure you can even exemplify your expertise a lot more utilizing AI?
Yeah, I'm a bit, I mean, when I worked in corporate, I mean, I was brand steward and I learned a whole lot about brands. I worked with a lot of really smart people. And the one thing that is really essential that we talked about a little bit is around the foundations, right? The foundational principles, the positioning, and even on the audience side of things, going back to copywriting tried and true around, well, what is the level of awareness of the person that is reading that, right? They're reading the landing page. Are they problem aware? Are they unaware? Are they solution aware? So the proper context is going to give you the proper content. And a lot of people don't understand these things. So the other side of it is the brand in it of itself. This is where I'm so diligent about it, is like every brand has a brand ethos and a brand personality. And so even if you were to take Carl Jung's principle, his brand archetypes, right? And I always tell my clients, like, if you were to do a crossroads of two of those archetypes, like the jester and the sage, right? I want to get to a space where I can understand, if your brand was a car, what would it be? right?
Mm.
Is it a Porsche? Is it a Cayenne, or is it a Ford Escort? You know what I
Mm.
mean? Just so that everything is on brand. And I think that's really essential. So that's where somebody who maybe is not necessarily long form copywriting all the copy, they
Mm.
still understand these fundamental principles that they can bring to AI so that the output is that more robust. And most
Mm.
importantly, it's on brand. Because when you have that cohesiveness, right, it's like, it's almost like a subconscious translation that the customer is, because they're not paying attention. So we
Mm.
want to make sure that the story is holding true and cohesive and consistent until they are ready to buy, because only
Mm.
3% of the market is ready to buy from you at any given time. So there's a
Yeah.
long nurture that comes into play. So you want to be very consistent with that. So AI can help, but again, in the absence of proper context, you're not going to get the right content.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I would even say that a lot of people that are just discovering AI and trying to get to implement it themselves don't have a framework or an understanding of what they need to pull from the AI to make it usable. So
Mm.
they'll, because you can go in there and say, hey, can you help me write, create an avatar or who my ideal customer profile is, right? But how do they go about doing that? How do they go about finding that? And you have to have kind of a framework that you can train the LLM or, ChatGPT or Claude or wherever it is that you're talking about to go
Mm.
through that. And if you don't have that basic knowledge, then you're just going to get mediocre results, and then you're going to walk away from AI because it doesn't work, right?
Mm.
But it's not that the LLM doesn't work; it does. You don't know how to pull the right information from the LLM, and I think that's what the differentiator is people need to learn how to use it strategically and
Mm.
not just okay. I've got ChatGPT. I'm paying $20 a month. I'm going to make millions. I'm going to create this self-aware agency that's going
Yeah.
to allow me to be $100 million agency by myself. And that's one of the buzzwords that's out there in the industry now is that AI can allow you to be that, and it can replace a lot of that stuff for you if
Mm.
you have the frameworks, the SOPs, the step-by-step guides that
Mm.
will get you there. But then you have to understand how to, because it'll, even with all that stuff that you have and you make a custom GPT, it'll
Mm.
still give you the wrong answers
Mm.
that your prospect, sorry, your prospect doesn't necessarily agree. Because as marketers, what we're trying to do is we're trying to shorten the sales cycle. So when they
Mm.
come to us, they're 75% sold. We just have to give them peace of mind to know that we are the superior product that they're looking for to make their transformation and their lives happen. And
Mm.
so being able to just have that aspect of it is what's is going to separate the people who are trying to implement
Mm.
and the people who are successfully implementing
I love that.
Yeah.
into the business.
I love that. So, and I love that you guys also said that. And speaking of replacing as well too, I'm curious what you guys think with jobs or workflows do you think are quietly dying because of AI? And essentially not the ones that people talk about, like the real ones. Because we know with the age of AI, a lot of jobs now or workflows are now essentially going to become non-existent because AI is going to be replacing them. So from your experience and from what you've seen, which ones do you believe are going to be dying out quietly that people may not necessarily think about?
I definitely would say, just from our own client engagement and experiences, like the whole BDR, so the business development reps. So typically, whether it's like a wealth advisory firm, anybody who is doing that outbound cold outreach, that kind of thing, or say, for example, a prospect fills out a form, and then
Mm.
these BDRs, usually kids out of college who are looking for their first jobs, and they go into these jobs and they're just dialing 100 dials a day at a minimum or something insane. And so
Mm.
that repetitive, mundane, absolutely torturous type of work that
Mm.
really isn't adding value is the reason why there's so much churn, right?
Mm.
And in that churn, it's very expensive for the employer to churn through. So something as simple as like post or having a workflow with AI that's following up, right? Because you've already given permission to contact them, is something that easily will take care and offset what was being done by humans.
Mm.
And you get a better output. And of course, it's arguable depending on the tool that you're using and again, the proper prompting and context. But that is something that I can see just through the implementation of clients that we've had, that they've gained so much from just by implementing that one thing.
Mm.
And if you think about it, nobody ever is in high school saying, I want to be a BDR when I grow up. I want to make $100 a day, and be bored out of my mind. It's like nobody likes that kind of mundane work. So if
Mm.
we can take those types of mundane, pesky tasks off of people's desks and
Mm.
move them, the right people, to more strategic roles, I mean, that's
Mm.
such a win-win, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if I could pay somebody an AI $500 a month to instead of $5,000 a month as an employee,
Correct.
as a business owner, and as a that has stockholders, I owe it to my stockholders to replace that employee.
Mm.
Right. Because and that's what a lot of people don't think about. Well, they're just trying to save money. No, we have to save money because we've got to make stockholders money. And that's as a CEO of a company, that's what they've got to figure out, is how I can
Mm.
make my stockholders more money. On the
Mm.
small business end of it, though, side of it, it's not quite there yet. AI is not quite there to 100% replace everybody yet. It's coming. Like, we're using it to as business analysts. So we go, we look at 100 businesses before we buy one.
Mm.
Does that make sense? And so we've got
Yeah.
to analyze this. And so we get their financials, we get their things. And it used to be we'd have a couple of junior analysts on
Mm.
board. These guys got master's degree in accounting and
Mm.
banking and finance, and they would prepare a thing that we would take to the investment committee. Right now,
Mm.
this is kind of high level. I'll try and keep it low level, but we're able with AI to replace 95% of that junior advisor, and now through that, and that we just have a senior advisor make sure that it didn't hallucinate and it didn't do the things. So now it's only 10% of the work that we were paying before. So it's saving us a lot more money, and it's
Mm.
saving us time more than anything else. So
Yeah.
instead of taking 6 months to go out and do, you know, investigate these businesses, now it's
Mm.
only taking us, 2 weeks to
Wow.
go out and do some of the is this business worth pursuing? And so
Yeah.
we can make decisions faster. And so then that's what AI is going to do for most businesses. It's
Mm.
going to make you make more effective decisions faster.
Mm. I love that. I love
Hmm.
that. And it's really impeccable as well too. And also speaking about that, I'm wondering because we initially all resonated when I made mention of people like shunning the whole aspect of AI. I'm wondering how your clients and peers even have reacted. Curiosity, denial, panic. What have you seen in the market space specifically?
So I've been very purposely doing outbound to offer speaking, because I know that that's like such an easy way to share, to gain authority. And right, like, there's something about stage speaking that just clicks for people. They're like, oh, she's the expert. So I do the stage speaking and what have you, and I'll address it. I'll address the thing where I'm like, okay, some of you, how do you feel about AI? Like, you're excited, it's interesting, and then I'm like, and how many of you are downright suspicious and think it's super evil, and what the heck are we doing? And inevitably, there's going to be somebody in the crowd, their arms are crossed and they're looking like a curmudgeon and just completely resistant. And it's okay, right? Because we're addressing the elephant in the room. And the idea behind it is to show them in practical ways that we're removing things that no longer make sense for us to have to tackle. And I go back to that whole idea. It's like, what are we doing here? Right?
Mm.
Like, tell me. So there's this guy, and he was the curmudgeon in the back, and he was talking about, he works for a title company in Chicago, for a big company, and he was going through this Excel spreadsheet every day, doing some kind of like a reconciliation for
Mm.
2 hours a day. And so after the presentation was over, and then he came up to me, he's like, Patty, I've been wasting 40 hours of my life. I go, yeah, that's 480 hours of your life per year. Like, what do you you know what I
Mm.
mean? And it just kind of clicks. Like,
Mm.
just taking a look at the everyday, like, what are you doing? And I'm fairly certain, I said to him, that those
Mm.
2 hours a day you could better utilize for something else. He's like, I got it. I got it now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just creating awareness is really incumbent upon us, for those of
Mm.
us in the AI space, to just
Mm.
show, to kind of meet people where they're at. Right. As we've talked about, let's bring it to a level that they can comprehend and internalize to say, oh, yeah, the light goes on, right? Because we
Mm,
have to get people to have the epiphany on their own. We
mm,
can't, shout from the rooftops, you don't know this and that, because they'll be resistant. But if you
yeah.
show them ways so that they can get there by themselves, the aha moment will come.
Mm,
And a lot of, especially for small business owners, their employees are part of their family. They've been there
Yes.
for a long time and they don't want to get rid of them. They don't want to replace them, right?
mm,
And the employees at the same time are change resistant. So they don't want to implement new strategies. They don't want to make changes because that's the way we haven't done it before, right? We don't want to change our water bottled water company because the guy that delivers it is really cute, right? Um, I get that. I've actually heard that. So that's where that example came from. But from a receptionist. But I mean, that's the realistic point of view from business owners that want to implement, that want to be there. And yes, there's always going to be those naysayers until you show them a better way.
mm,
When my dad was a dentist. When he graduated dental school and got approved, you could have a certain size yellow page ad and a certain size sign on the street, and that's the only ethical marketing that you could do.
Hmm.
Fast forward to today, or when he retired, everybody was marketing, everybody was doing direct mail flyers and all this stuff. His practice was dying while everybody else was growing, and because he
mm,
was resistant to change. And that's kind of what people have to say. AI is not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's just
mm,
going to get better and better and better. And it's, are you going to be part of the ride the wave, or are you going to be the one to get swept away because you weren't paying attention to it? And
mm,
so you kind of, even if you don't like it, how can we prepare for it in our business? Either make it AI proof, or how can we adopt AI to make it so our business runs even better and we're able to serve our customers even better than we have ever before.
mm,
Right.
I
And
love
that's
that.
kind of what we have to, those of us who are thought leaders in the industry, we kind of have to present that to them in that way. It's like, hey, you're either going to get swept away,
Mm,
and your business is going to go away if you get swept away in most cases. Like my dad, when he went to go sell his practice, all he could sell it for was what his building and stuff was worth. Right. He wasn't the nest egg that he thought it was going to be.
wow.
Does that make sense? And there's a lot of dentists, because I'm in this space, I can talk on it. There's a lot of dentists that are exactly like him,
Wow.
that thought that there's supposed to be a lot more, but because marketing changed and they didn't change with it, they got swept away. Their businesses went. They still earned a good living, but it
Mm,
wasn't the business that they thought it was. Does that make
wow.
sense?
Yeah, that is
Definitely.
wow. So it's very interesting how we're all speaking about the opportunity here, like where there's so much opportunity that professionals can get once they adapt AI into it. So I guess how can professionals, if I was a professional today, maybe a dentist or a dermatologist, an accountant, a lawyer, how could I adopt fast AI into my business or into my workflow to create an unfair advantage with time, precision, or even scale?
So
Well,
that is, oh, no,
no, you go ahead,
please.
Patty.
I was just gonna say that's such a loaded. It's kind of like, let me cast a net into the ocean, hoping I catch some like halibut, right? Like you could catch anything. You can catch a dirty diaper. One of the best ways. I mean, I have something called like an AI intensive, and it is an exploratory, right? And any reputable sound strategist should offer something like that. Like I kind of equated to like, my role here is in hearing the conversation about your business and about the infrastructure, is seeing like, where are the drill sites, where are
Hmm,
there opportunities, and then very logically it's prioritizing the opportunities to see what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, and how
hmm,
do I create like a positive ROI. And usually, right, if it's the implementation of AI, you're going to get a positive ROI.
hmm,
So I think that is every single person that you do that with, company that you do that with. For the most part, we have a model that we can do the predictors and what have you. But I think
hmm,
it's just, there's a really great quote by Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, and he was talking about how it's like, guys, at least be curious enough to ask, right?
hmm,
Just be curious enough to ask, to start the conversation and see what would be possible if I did implement with AI. So then
hmm,
the only caveat there is like, to make sure that you are pairing up with a professional who actually knows what they're doing, can walk the talk, and is not going to give you hypey promises and under deliver, because there's a lot of charlatans in the market. So just be very, very diligent about really vetting what kind of person, their background, their history, the results, so that you know you're in good hands.
Yeah, 100%. And then, even before you get to that stage, I would just, before you reach out and talk to somebody, I would look at your business and I would just say, okay, what are my repetitive tasks that take up a lot of time but don't add a lot of value to my business, right? And can I replace? Is that a possibility? And don't even just write it down. Anything that comes to mind, what repetitive task, what comes to task, don't judge it, don't do anything else, just write everything down, and then go to the expert and let them eliminate what's on your list, right? And I think that's the best way for you to prepare, is what's the mundane tasks that I'm doing out there. What do I hate to do? Can I automate that, right? Because that's for us on our side, that's the easiest sell. Oh, you hate doing that? Well, let me show you how I can fix that, right? And that's one of the reasons we came up with that change, where we automatically scrape the thing and text it, because we didn't realize we were losing. That was such a pain point in the dental practices, was the drop off between the new client initial examination and then getting that first work done. And so, but because nobody wanted to make the phone calls to do the appointments, or they would push it off because they don't want to be pushy, or they'll call if they really need it, kind of mentality on the treatment planners or the receptionists aside. And so so that was kind of found money for these businesses, right? And it was a very easy implementation to do, AI automation to build, right? And I think we built it in like 2 days, and it started making a huge impact within 2 weeks, So, and that's the thing, is the speed that can be done because of AI and implementing this into your business. And it's going to make a huge impact on your bottom line a lot quicker than almost anything else that you can invest in. So the return on investment is far faster.
Dude, that is amazing. That is honestly amazing. The return on investment is always a huge thing, together with the return on time. It seems like AI just really does a lot. I'm wondering what you guys think about, because lately there's been lots of roles that have been coming in concerning like prompt engineering. People are always looking for prompt engineering right now. People that are really well versed in prompt engineering, to be a consultant, even hybrid roles as well too, with a creative analyst. And there's almost, well, for the progressive companies, there's almost something about utilizing AI in one way or another. How important is prompt engineering for somebody to leverage AI, in your opinion?
Not as important as it was 6 months ago.
Interesting.
LLMs have advanced so that as long as you know where you want to end up, you can stumble your way through iteration and having just a conversation with an LLM nowadays. Would you agree with that, Patty? Would you disagree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm kind of smirking a little bit because I had a conversation with a dear neighbor whose son is in college, and he wants to major in AI, and he wanted to have a focus in prompting. And I literally had the same conversation. I'm like, I think that's by the time he graduates in 4 years. Like, what are we doing here? I don't think that that's going to be a thing. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you're trying to learn from books that are maybe 18 months old at best, right? Or 2 years old, that are now obsolete. So the point there is, I agree with Brett so much. I mean, this is hyperbolic growth all the time. It's like this perpetual cycle of what's next, what's next, what's next. That's why people can have opinions on AI, but this is where I really think having somebody who's in the game, like we are full time, like we have a really sound pulse as to where the puck is going, what people are talking about, and what is relevant. So as I was say, the whole prompting thing, I agree. And then the other side, I couldn't speak specifically to the roles that are out there for that, but I would assume, again, it's ever evolving. And I think that small businesses in this respect have a big advantage, right? So they have the advantage to pick somebody who knows what they're doing on the AI side and be nimble enough. Because I can tell you, having been in a big corporation, they are slow to move, and because there's so many layers of decision making, everything stalls, and it's got to go through this committee and that committee, all the while AI is going at hyperbolic speed. So that's my take on it.
Man, it really is coming back to what both of you were saying, where it's like, it's either you just ride the wave or you just get left behind. Because it's crazy how six
Totally.
months ago,
You
prompt
swept
engineering,
away. Yeah.
right? It's crazy. Prompt engineering was so, it was something valuable 6 months ago. Now you can just talk with AI and then it produces stuff. Wow. So then I guess, and yeah.
If you do know some basics, it
Mm,
does make it faster, but
mm,
you can so it is it's good to know what makes up a good prompt and how
yeah.
to iterate it. But do you need to spend all the time and a week figuring out a prompt? No, you can do it, as you go, and then you save that prompt.
Mm,
And when you need to pull it out of your library of things, you do it again. And a
yeah.
lot of people make the mistake of they just go to open up the chat and they just start conversing, and they don't like save every chat to a Google Doc or a
Yeah.
document that you
Interesting.
because it's that might not, you want to might make some kind of iteration, but you liked how
Mm,
they said it in the first one better than they said it in the second one at a
yeah.
certain part, and so you want to be able to compare and contrast and pull what you like and what you don't like. And it's so I think more than anything else, it's do you have the right tools to make that part of it easier than
Mm,
anything else. So like we have AI that I talk to the AI now, and instead of typing, because I talk faster than I can type, and I type
Yeah.
120 words a minute,
wow.
and so I'm a fast typer,
Mm,
but I can talk a lot faster than I can type,
mm.
and it's the same thing. Like I don't listen to anything that's not 1.5 speed anymore,
Hmm.
because why?
Same.
Exactly.
Sometimes the conversations I'm like, speed it up a little bit. Come on. Just kidding. But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's tools out there now, and so like there's an app that I have that's called Paste, and so and instead of just hitting Control V all the time, I can hit Control Shift V and go back to something I saved 10 minutes ago or 2 days ago and paste it into this area that I need it now,
Whoa.
because that makes it so much faster. So it makes up your workflow faster. So instead of spending your time trying to learn how to be a prompt engineer,
Mm,
get tools that are cheap that will help
mm.
you just speed up your workflow process and your process. And
Wow.
then the prompt engineering, you'll get kind of a gist for it. And then there's also AI, there's Prompt Cowboy, there's
Hmm.
prompt IDEs out there that'll help you do that for a few dollars a month, or some of them are free, and so
Mm,
I think it's a waste of time to learn how to be a prompt engineer. Like
mm.
Patty was saying, it's past. Last year, yes, you wanted to be a prompt engineer because the LLMs weren't advanced enough, but now
Yeah,
they're advanced enough that you can just stumble your way through it and get to the point that you want to be.
dude.
Yeah.
This is impeccable. And I'm wondering, so especially with the way AI is just advancing and it keeps advancing all the way through, how valuable do you believe are human skill sets now? Like human skill sets in terms of storytelling, maybe even judgment, empathy, context. How valuable would you say those human skill sets are now in the age of AI?
I think they're more important than ever.
I
Mm,
agree. I agree. I agree. I mean, it's something that I'm talking a lot more about because I'm more kind of leaning into the AEO space.
mm,
And so there was actually this group that I'm in. There's a little bit of a debate, like SEO versus AEO. I'm like, it's different in that SEO still applies, but AEO, answer engine optimization, is really focusing and pulling content, those signals that are about credibility and trust. And
mm,
again, I go back to the foundational principles of what are you building for a brand. See what I'm
mm,
saying? Like, I just think there's such a low barrier to entry in so many different arenas. Because I've had that conversation before where people are like, aren't you scared? There's a bunch of AI people crawling out of the woodworks. I'm like, you know what? I'm in my lane. I know my worth. I've been at this for, right? I'm in it all the time. And so that's about like, how am I showing up? How am I building the brand to talk about what I'm talking about, to earn people's trust? It's really fascinating what's going on, because I
Yeah.
think now more than ever that helps me to show the potential about AI, but I have to gain people's trust first. And
Yeah.
mm,
they're connecting to me because it's me, which is
Right.
really interesting. It doesn't matter, we're in the age of AI. They still want to have that human to human connection, in my opinion.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
because people only buy for two reasons, right? They're either trying to solve a problem and escape pain, or to get pleasure, right?
mm,
Because they want something, right? So the wants, emotions, beliefs, so that we have to, just because a lot of people are coming out of the AI, and this goes back to your is storytelling, is your ability to do these different specialize in different tasks applicable because yes, it's the unique mechanism that makes your content's going to be different. See, Patty and I
Mm,
can sit down with the same chat GPT with the same concept, the same things, and we get totally different results
Yeah.
because we are different people. We think differently. We have different frameworks that we like to follow. We have different processes and things to get to the results that we want to do.
mm,
But we'll both make money off of what we're trying to do because we know how to make it work.
mm,
Does that make sense? So if you're an author, so case in point, my daughter is a writer, and
mm,
she's got the gift, the talent to make stories interesting and pull people into them. She
mm,
took a content that I had, that a marketing piece that I had a sales letter that was performing extremely well for years, and doubled it because
wow.
she rewrote it. And she rewrote it because she was a special, and I thought I was a good copywriter, right? But she was an author and she knew how to write it in such a way that was unique to her talent. And
Yeah.
so
Mm,
just because these, that's why I'm saying, it's, if you have that speciality,
yeah.
the marketplace is wide open for you. This is the time to get in. This is the time to
Mm,
to embrace it and utilize how you write, and figure out how to put AI into your framework. Like my
mm,
daughter, she hates AI, right? She don't she won't use it for her story writing and stuff like that. And I'm like, but honey, I'm just like, but honey, it takes you, a week to write 5,000 words. I can
mhm,
write. I sat down last night and wrote a 120-page ebook. As a lead magnet. Following frameworks and writing frameworks and stuff like that. So it's not just
mm,
AI writing it. I iterate it and I make it changes so
Yeah.
that it's the book that I want.
right.
But as long as you have that, once again, as long as you know where you're going,
Mm,
AI is a tool to get you there faster. And if
yeah.
you have but you have to have the frameworks, you have to have the concepts, you have to have the SOPs behind it, I guess is what
Yeah.
it is. Systems, and how do I write a good article? How do I
Mm,
write a good book? How do I draw something well?
mm,
If you don't have that, how do I create a video that performs on TikTok? How do I,
mm,
if you don't have that way of creating things
mm.
and systemizing a process, then AI is going to get you mediocre results.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And you're spot on as well too. So now there's so much valuable stuff for the next like 5 to 10 minutes. I wanted to really, just for the listeners as well too. I guess the first thing here is to pretty much do a real time AI audit with you guys here, where we're just pretty much going to show them how they can check their AI readiness. So essentially, I'm just gonna ask you like just quick questions, 5 quick questions, in which if you are supposed to do these today, what would you do? So that they can at least have a sense of future proofing their expertise as well too. So in the situation, Patty, if you were to start today, which 3 repeatable tasks could you automate this week?
I would say um transcribing all my calls, and then from the calls that I have, having the key takeaways, right? So have an automation in place that gives me the key takeaways and my action items.
Hmm,
So in the past, I would have had to painstakingly go through all my notes, and I'd have like, oh, what did I say? So
hmm,
that is one area that has been massively helpful. And then I have a workflow that then puts them into a task list.
hmm.
So all of that is automated in my own business, and it has given me a whole lot of freedom, so that I don't have to take care of all of that. Again, the repetitive, painful stuff that I hated doing. Now I'm
Yeah,
like super uber organized as a result of that.
yeah,
So that's one a great example.
yeah. I love that. I love that. I would say, in fact, yes, Brett, which repeatable task based on how your business and your week has been, could you automate this week that would save you a lot of time?
If I didn't have anything, is that the
Ye-
question?
Yeah.
First thing I would do is I would go down and I'd find some kind of personal assistant
Mm,
workflow that's free template that's online that I would implement into my own life, because that would, so I could just run a text and it would answer my emails or send an email out that I have to somebody or something like that. That would probably be the first thing I would do if I was just starting out in this industry, is get a AI personal assistant that will handle answering emails, um, sending out text messages, um, like Patty said, recording all your meetings, things like that, so that takes away all of that. So if I have to make an appointment with somebody to follow up on something, so I could just text my bot that says, "Hey," my personal assistant, and say, "Hey, Kai." Um, that's my name of my personal assistant. It's Killer AI, by the way.
I love that. That's funny.
And so, hey, Kai, can you text Patty and set up a meeting to be on a podcast with her next week? Does that make sense? And then it'll text it, and it'll look, and it'll go through, and it'll pick a couple of dates on my calendar that are free, and say, "Hey, can we set up the podcast for this time and this time?"
Wow.
Does that make sense? And so that would automate it for me, and then that's off my to-do list, and it's gone. And all I had to do was open up my chat that I have, that Telegram app that happens to be in, and then do a voice note to it, and it goes.
Wow. Impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. Next question for you guys. Do you have a client-facing system that could use instant AI touch points presently?
Client-facing, what do you mean?
Yeah, so a client-facing system. So in this situation, something that clients use or interface with specifically, in which it could have instant touch points for them, maybe about some action items that they need to take, or maybe about some stuff from the previous call, or maybe about some decisions that need to be made based off of some marketing um, information whatsoever.
Well, I think we have a couple of freebies and stuff for prospective clients, because again, I'm the believer that you guide your prospect to the point where they're like, oh, I need this. So we have things like that, where even with what is technically called a database reactivation, we call it a client comeback campaign, because I like to have my own terminology. And then we have like just it's an interactive type of form where they could play around and say, oh, I have 5,000 people on my email list, and I haven't even really ever thought about it. So it's kind of education, but it's interactive. And then the form has Sloan, who is our AI, conversational AI call, and then just ask the questions like, hey, so we saw that this and that you have these many people, and so are you interested in having an exploratory conversation? And that whole thing is all automated. I don't have to think about it. It's just like the appointment that gets on my calendar. And we've been able to do some opportunistic engagements that way, where I haven't even gone out to the market to promote, because I think that particular thing is pretty everyone's doing it. But if somebody is curious enough to want to find out more, they're kind of coming to us, so we're fishing instead of hunting on that. And that's a really easy way that AI has been really helpful to engage.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so we have a thing where if a practice owner, because we have an educational series too, and if they want to like learn how we grow our businesses from 500,000 to 2 million in collections, they can sign up for that. And that onboarding process is all AI ran. We don't touch any of it. They go through it, they set up their things. It goes through, and there's an agent called in that one. So I've got 7 agents that are inside this software thing that's onboarding, and it goes from agent to agent. So first of all, it pulls out, tell us about your business, and pulls out the business info and assets and stuff like that they have, and what their web address is, and stuff like that. And then the AI agent will go through and it'll pull it and put it into a database so that we have all that information for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow.
And so, but anyway, so there's 7 agents that they go through on the onboarding process that gets handed off person to person. And so, and people love it. They're just, if they get stuck, then they can talk to a live person if they have to. But for the most part, it's just all AI driven. And in fact, I don't think we've had much use of the actual people, but we've only been doing it for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So, but that's mostly the onboarding process is all AI.
Cool.
Yeah, that is impeccable. Okay. Are you both capturing data to train your own micro models currently, or are you guys just leveraging what is out there right now?
Both.
But yeah, I was just going to say both. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Could I ask why?
Because when you use the models that are already out there, they can steal your IP.
Hmm.
It's not a big issue for me, but it's a, and they're not supposed to if you pay for a certain level of service or something like that. But people will steal what they can steal. Um, you know, that's kind of my mentality.
Hmm.
So I want to be able to eventually have an LLM trained on what I do, that I
Hmm.
don't have to use a third party
Hmm.
app to do what I need to do. I'll probably use it if I'm building something new, their stuff still. But as far as stuff that's like internal, that is highly IP, that I own,
Hmm.
I don't necessarily want to keep that in the public space.
Hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'll use the the the, the models that are out there as a springboard, right? I see it
Yeah.
as a springboard then to play and iterate and add more to it and see what I could come up with, or as we work with our team. So
Hmm.
I actually really enjoy doing that. It's kind of fun saying,
Yep.
okay, let's see where else we can take this.
I love that. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
love that. Okay. So then I ask this because a lot of people don't. Do you both have an ethical or transparency policy for AI use for your clients?
Of
Yes.
course, must
Yeah.
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to be honest and upfront about everything, because it's
Hmm.
going to come out. In today's day and age, you cross the street, jaywalk, somebody's taking a picture of you jaywalking.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, it's just better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. We even put it on my site, on the website. We have a
Hmm.
core values and the about us, and we talk about that. We say ethical AI always. So it's just like with anything else. I remember when I was first learning about neurolinguistic programming, right? Because there's copywriting advanced that you could utilize NLP. And I
Hmm.
remember having, as I was going into and learning all that stuff, the coach that I had, he said, listen, you could use it for good or you could use it for bad. Choose to use it for good and talk about that you use it for good. So the
Yeah.
Hmm.
same thought process on the AI front, we always say is like, hey, same kind of thing, but we always want to be upfront, because if you think you're fooling the customer, that's just a bad precedent to set right at the beginning, and it's going to tarnish that trust. And if you lose trust, you're never going to get it back. So it's not anything we ever play with.
Especially
Hmm.
today's day and age, everything
Yeah.
about you is online. It's
Yeah.
accessible. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it goes back to not just AI, but just marketers in general, because we
Mhm.
have the power to persuade people to do things that we want to do.
Hmm.
It's our responsibility to use that ethically and do it for good, not evil. Because
Hmm.
I mean, it would be easy to con people out of money with the information that I know, right?
Hmm.
But why? It's just as easy to go out and to help people succeed in their business or grow their business or whatever it is that we're trying to do for them, than it is to try and use what we know for bad. It's just
Yeah.
part of being a person of integrity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I guess last question for you there on this audit is, how do you resell or reuse the time that AI saves you?
That's so good. Well, I was just talking to Kofi about this. Before we hit the record button, I'm like, Kofi, have you heard of this granola? And he's like, what is that? So it's this really cool tool that I now use. It basically is like a transcriber on all my calls, because I do Zoom calls all day long. And what's really interesting is that there's some other bolt-ons that you can add. It's like these free things that you could click. And there's this guy, I think his name's Coach Matt on Granola. You hit that, and what happens is he analyzes all the conversations. And I don't know how he knows, but he's like, Patty, you say you want to do this, but it looks like you're doing XYZ. So here could be a time saver, and here's how to optimize. So it's literally like having the world's best business coach right on my shoulder, who is
Yeah.
scrutinizing everything that I'm doing, but in the name of making me more productive. So
Wow.
to answer your question, Kofi, I rely on AI to help make me more productive. And when I have that interaction and exchange, I think it's so exciting because if
Mm.
I can quantify, I don't know, I'm kind of a nerd. If I can quantify that, like that 1 hour, I could go out to dinner with my husband or do something with my kids. It's right. So that's the kind of thing that can make it really fun when you just open to explore. Just such cool tools that are out there. Like jump in, and again, like Mark Cuban says, be curious enough to just play, right? Play with it.
I love
Right.
that. I love
Yeah,
that.
because it's not about making money for money's sake. It's what it's or using AI to just reach our goals.
Mm.
It's so that we can have the lifestyle and the relationships that we want to have with family, friends,
Mm.
coworkers, whatever it is.
Mm.
And so I you'll have to send me the link to that because I've never heard of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. But I've got trained coaches that custom GPTs that I've put into the different LLMs to help
Mm.
guide through
Yeah.
there. So like when I'm doing a brainstorming session, I have a brainstorming, Angela is her
Yep.
name, and she walks me
Mm.
through brainstorming, and so it's like I've got, you can remember the book Napoleon Hill wrote, Think and Grow Rich,
Of
and he
course.
has that council of people that he had like
Yes.
in his mind.
Mm.
LLMs make that possible almost now, that you can
Yes.
have that council of business advisors, that you can have custom GPTs made of
Mm.
those like personalities, and like you can do that. It's not like 100% there, but I mean it's like it's almost there, and it's kind of
Well,
cool that you can utilize that.
well, I'll tell you, Brett, what's really cool. I took this program earlier this year in February, and basically, this particular person took the 40 most popular mental models and created these like LLM scripts. You could do it on Cloud or ChatGPT, what have you, and
Mm.
that as well has been incredible. Whereas I'm working through things and problem solving, or should I get into this, or should I pivot in terms of the model that I've been doing? I can literally work through those types of things with AI, and it'll guide me in the direction because it knows my Myers Briggs, my Enneagram, my Colby, my disc, all the things, why I do what I do. It's fascinating what it could do. It's so fun, you guys.
You know, it uh, AI has made some serious changes. So like my wife, we have a special needs son, as you guys know,
Mm.
and she's been wanting this software forever, and nobody ever has it to organize, because she spends 30 to 40 hours a week just talking to suppliers, being on hold with insurance, doing the stuff that he has, so he can get the meds and the equipment and the stuff that he needs to have to just live a good life.
Mm.
And so thanks to Claude and AI, Claude Code, she made the program, and she's launching it next week.
Wow. Oh
So
my
I
gosh,
mean,
that's incredible.
and
Yeah.
so she has no programming experience. She chose to be a mother of our 7 kids, and she has created this software that every doctor, he has 18 specialists, and that he goes and sees, and every doctor and nurse that sees it is like, my patients need this, I need this in my life. Does that
Wow.
make sense? And so it's just, so she's got, probably she'll make more money than I probably have in my millions of years of business, but she's got a product that AI helped her make
Wow.
when she had no software experience and nothing going
So
on. And
brilliant.
so she's got, once she gets money coming from this, she's going to hire a software engineer to keep it running. But
Mm.
as far as like the basic SaaS setup, she's got it set up and she's ready to launch it. And so
I love
that's the
that.
power of AI in today. you
Wow.
know
Love it.
That, yeah, that is impeccable. What is the name of the software? I'm actually curious now.
It's Heroes Haven is the name of
Heroes
the
Haven.
her company, and it's the Command Center is the name of the software, and so it's pretty cool, dude. I mean, it's pretty much everything you would want to know about. Like, you just take a picture of your prescription bottle, and it auto
Yeah.
populates it, and it'll set up reminders to that you need to order refills. So call the doctor or email the doctor and get a new prescription. It will tell you when to pick up the prescriptions. It will, but that's just on the prescription side, and she's got it so that, as a mom, she's the primary caregiver for my child. So
Yeah.
as he has a seizure, she can log the seizure. Now when we go to a doctor's appointment like we did, um, she just prints up everything that's happened in between, them
Wow.
and just gives that to the doctor so the doctor can see what's
Oh,
doing it.
that's so
Yeah.
genius. I
One
love
of the
that.
nurses is a foster parent that watches my son, and she's like, I need this for my foster's kids because I've got to turn reports in every month to the state, and this gives me everything I need for the state. And so it's really incredible, but it's not possible without AI because
AI.
we wouldn't have the money to develop
Yeah.
that software for, because it would have
Wow.
cost her, 200 to $2 million, thousand to $2 million to
That
develop
is so
this,
cool.
you know.
Oh
So,
my gosh, that is
but
impeccable.
AI made it possible.
AI made
So,
it possible.
yeah.
My goodness, this is actually really really awesome. This has been such an amazing podcast. To be honest, so much learned here, so much value. I guess I'm gonna leave it off with just this one question for you both. Patty, what is your unpopular prediction for 2026 with everything that's going on with AI?
Unpopular prediction.
Your unpopular
Okay,
prediction.
this may sting. I really think that there's gonna be a redefinition of kids that are going to college, that they don't have to go to college in order to major in online marketing or AI. I'm telling you, I don't see the need for it. I mean, yes, in certain aspects of it, but the actual root of what is being studied, they're better off being in the mix, like on real
Mm,
projects, real time. So almost like it'd be so interesting to redefine what school would be like if it was a little bit more modern and not so archaic in its approach. So I just see that that's very much a need, and I think a lot of kids are really thinking like, do I really need this? And you're speaking to someone, I mean, I went to school, I have an MBA and the whole thing, right? It's not that I don't see the value of education. I just think it's got to transform.
wow. Wow. Brett, how about you? What is your unpopular prediction for
it's
2026?
it's the same as Patty's. It's because of the way that LLMs are there. I can set up a custom GPT under any topic that I
Wow.
want to do, and I can have it coach me on it in 15 minutes a day, and I can learn something faster than I've ever been able to learn something in my life. Does that make sense? I want to learn marketing, so I find out who the experts are, and I buy their courses, and I create a custom GPT
Mm,
or something like that, and that now I can learn that course now in 30 to 90 days, and then
wow.
become an expert in that, and instead of having to spend 4 years in school.
Mm,
So that's my thing. I think it's going to replace a lot of the teaching, and it's going to there's good and there's bad in both of those things, right?
yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot more specialists instead of
Mm,
generalists, and you
Yeah.
kind of
mm,
want to be a generalist
yeah.
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
with and have access to the specialist knowledge, but be a generalist so that you can apply it across different fields. That's
Yeah.
my probably unpopular opinion.
Wow. Thank you both so much. If Patty, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Sure. My main social media platform is on LinkedIn. So just Patty Dominguez, Patty with a Y. My website is moreleverage.io. And yeah, I love hanging out on LinkedIn. I've tried all the other platforms. I've gotten kicked out of the other platforms. So I just choose to stay on LinkedIn. I stay in my lane.
That is hilarious. How about you, Brett? If anybody wanted to reach out, how would they
Uh,
find
It'd probably be best by email, Brett at digitalnextera.com,
you?
BRETT at digitalnextera.com. I am on LinkedIn and other things. I just use it for marketing purposes. I don't really hang out there.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of social media, but I make a lot of money from it.
Um,
Good for you. That's the right answer.
right. Oh my gosh. Awesome. Thank you both once again. This has been an amazing podcast episode. I can't wait till I see how much impact this really brings in people's lives. Everybody that tuned in, thank you so much for being here. Patty and Brett, once again, one of the most successful people I've ever met, especially within this space. Definitely stay tuned. Tap in with them if you can. And we'll see you guys on the next one.